It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Preeta Manivannan. The headlines. PMO refutes cancer claims, says website must be held accountable. And Malaysia records highest single-day jump in COVID-19 recoveries. Good morning. We'll begin the bulletin with this story. The Prime Minister's office, PMO, dismissed an allegation by the Sarawak Report that Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin broke quarantine to go abroad for medical treatment. In a statement on Tuesday, it said the allegations against the Prime Minister were baseless, malicious and a work of fiction. The PMO stressed that the news portal needs to be held accountable for the report. The statement said the Prime Minister had observed a 14-day self-quarantine from May 22nd under the advice of the Health Ministry after chairing a post-cabinet meeting attended by an officer who was confirmed positive for COVID-19. It stated that throughout the quarantine period, the Prime Minister strictly adhered to the standard operating procedures, SOPs, and did not leave his house. All official duties were conducted from home, including a video conference from the Senior Defence Minister and the Health Director General. Therefore, the allegation by the Sarawak Report news portal that the Prime Minister had flown overseas is baseless and merely fiction created by the writer. The PMO stated the news portal had to be held accountable for false allegations, and the burden of proof was now on the writer to back the frivolous claims regarding the private jet, hospitals in Singapore and doctors involved, as alleged. It added that failure to do so would show that the report is of malicious intent and is nothing but a smear campaign on the Prime Minister. On Tan Sri Muhyiddin's health, the PMO reiterated that several medical experts have confirmed there is no evidence of cancer or any other findings to say the disease is recurring. Malaysia on Tuesday reported its highest single-day jump in COVID-19 recoveries with 333 cases, far outpacing the 11 new infections reported, lowering the number of active cases in the country to 651. This means the rate of COVID-19 recovery in Malaysia stood at 90.9% or 7,733 cases, while the number of active cases fell to less than 10% from the total confirmed cases of 8,505. Out of the total number of recoveries, 307 are foreign nationals and 26 are Malaysians. According to the Health Ministry, of Tuesday's new cases, 1 was imported while the remaining 10 were locals, of which 6 were foreigners and 4 were Malaysians. The 6 non-Malaysians were split into 2 in Kuala Lumpur and 4 in Negeri Sembilan. For Malaysian cases, 1 was found in Selangor during a pre-operational screening at Hospital Putrajaya, afterwards being transferred to Hospital Sungai Buloh. The remaining 3 were discovered in Sarawak. Meanwhile, no new deaths from the coronavirus were reported on Tuesday. Now, Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB said it is reviewing its mechanisms to address the recent complaints by the public over high electricity bill charges during the Movement Control Order MCO period. Its chairman, Datuk Sri Matzir Khalid, said that he, along with TNB's management, the Water, Land and Natural Resources Ministry and the Energy Commission would strive to find a proper resolution. Now, in a statement posted on Facebook, he said that when the MCO began on March 18, physical TNB meter reading operations had been temporarily suspended. Hence, only estimated meter readings could be done and sent to customers for March and April via the MyTNB app. He added that as operations resumed on May 15, the bills received by TNB clients reflected the actual usage of electricity since the MCO began. He stated that TNB has taken note of the inconvenience and complaints voiced by the Rakyat after receiving their TNB bills and hope the explanation will go some way towards reducing the uncertainty among the public. Datuk Sri Matzir also denied accusations from several quarters regarding the allowance he is alleged to receive, in his post stating that it is much lower than what is being claimed. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin on Tuesday launched a digital dashboard capable of linking data from 53 ministries and agencies that are involved in the implementation of stimulus packages worth 295 billion ringgit. The digital dashboard is aimed at ensuring the process of monitoring the implementation of implementing the stimulus packages, Prihatin and Penjana, are done in a transparent, fast and accurate manner. The Prime Minister's visit to Laksana was to observe the operations as well as the status of implementation of these stimulus packages. In a statement today, the Prime Minister's office, PMO, said this approach enables the government to act in a dynamic way and make decisions quickly based on big data. It will also assist in the fine-tuning needed to make sure the government's assistance are actually received by the targeted groups. The centralized and live data collection displayed through the digital dashboard is in line with the government's efforts towards e-implementation in preparation for the fourth industrial revolution as well as the shift to the new normal. Negeri Sembilan Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia Bersatu Chairman Tan Sri Dr. Rais Yatim was among 5 individuals sworn in as senators at Dewan Negara on Tuesday. They were sworn in before Senate President Tan Sri S.A. Vigneswaran. They were appointed upon the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah. The other 4 were former Home Minister Tan Sri Muhammad Razzi Sheikh Ahmad, past Vice President Idris Ahmad, head of PAS Supporters Club and Bala Subramaniam, and former Political Secretary to Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Muhammad Zahid Mat Arif. The Senate now has 70 members, 26 of whom were state appointees, while 44 others were appointed by the King, including 3 to represent the federal territories of Kuala Lumpur and Labuan. The senators are appointed for a term of 3 years and can only be reappointed once. The Kuala Lumpur High Court on Tuesday ordered former Felda Chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Isa Samad to enter defence on 9 corruption charges amounting to 3 million ringgit in connection with the purchase of Merdeka Palace Hotel and Suites, MPHS by Felda Investment Corporation Sdn Bhd, FICSB 6 years ago. Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali, however, discharged and acquitted Tan Sri Muhammad Isa on 1 criminal breach of trust CBT charge over the hotel purchase for 160 million ringgit without the approval of the Felda Board of Directors after finding the prosecution failed to prove a prima facie case against him. In his judgment, Justice Muhammad Nazlan said there was credible evidence against Tan Sri Muhammad Isa in respect of the 9 charges under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act. Tan Sri Muhammad Isa was charged with 9 counts of dishonestly receiving gratification for himself in cash totaling 3,090,000 ringgit for helping approve the purchase of a hotel by FICSB for 160 million ringgit. All the offences were allegedly committed at Menara Felda, Kuala Lumpur between July 21st, 2014 and December 11th, 2015. Each charge provides a jail term of not exceeding 20 years and a fine of at least 5 times the bribe amount or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher, upon conviction. On the CBT charge, Tan Sri Muhammad Isa was charged as director of FICSB and trusted with the company fund, but had committed CBT by approving a proposal for the purchase of Merdeka Palace Hotel and Suites in Kuching, Sarawak for 160 million ringgit without the approval of the Felda Board of Directors. The offence was allegedly committed at the same venue on April 29, 2014 under the Penal Code, which provides an imprisonment of up to 20 years, whipping and fine if found guilty. The prosecution closed its case on January 14th this year after 15 days of hearing with 22 witnesses called to testify. On to the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB final audit report tempering trial of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak and former 1MDB President Arul Kanda Kandasamy. The prosecution team is seeking to amend the charge against both the accused. The lead prosecutor, Datuk Seri Gopal Sri Ram, told Kuala Lumpur High Court Justice Muhammad Zaini Mazlan he will seek to amend certain wording in the charge sheet on Wednesday, as he claimed that there were typographical errors. Lead Defence Counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, however, said he will object to the application, claiming that his team had prepared the whole argument for the case by relying on the initial unamended charge. The confusion arose as Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi argued that according to the charge sheet, the request for amendments to audit the report was made before it was presented to the Public Accounts Committee PAC in a meeting. As such, he claimed that the amendments were made on drafts, not the final copy. The prosecution seeks to amend the wording in the charge sheet to make it more abundantly clear. The trial is adjourned to 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, as Justice Muhammad Zaini is expected to hear the application to amend the wording of the charge. The Kuala Lumpur High Court was told on Tuesday that Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's younger brother bought two properties worth 5.9 million ringgit using monies purportedly from Yayasan Akal Budi. Property tycoon Tan Sri Lee Kim Thiong, alias Lee Kim Yew, said he sold two properties at Country Heights, Kajang, to Datuk Seri Muhammad Nasai Ahmad Tarmizi, who is Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid's brother, as a representative for Yayasan Al-Falah 3 years ago. Tan Sri Lee was the prosecution's 57th witness to testify on Tuesday. The businessman said the deal was initiated on December 2016 when his friend Dato Eric called him and asked about the properties, as he had a potential buyer, Yayasan Al-Falah. Tan Sri Lee, who acknowledged he personally knew Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid for a long time, said the properties were in a bad condition as it used to be a show house for the development in Country Heights, Kajang. He added that both cheques were issued by a law firm, Lewis & Co., the trustee for Yayasan Akal Budi, from which Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid is accused of having misappropriated funds. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid pleaded not guilty to a total of 47 charges, 12 of which are for criminal breach of trust (CBT), 8 for bribery and 27 for money laundering, involving tens of millions of ringgit belonging to Yayasan Akal Budi. The trial before Judge Colin Lawrence Sequeira continues. After the break, Malaysian frontliner in the UK soldiers on against COVID-19. His story when we return. Welcome back. With a statistic of 45 days in the intensive care unit and 28 days in a respiratory and rehabilitation ward, Malaysian-born Felix Koh is one of UK's miracle COVID-19 survivors. The inspirational nurse had retired from his role as a resuscitation officer at Southend University Hospital but returned to the A&E unit as a frontliner during the COVID-19 pandemic. TV3's correspondent Halisa Hashim reports from the United Kingdom.
On Monday, 68-year-old Felix Koh, who recovered from COVID-19, received a round of applause from the staff as he walked out of the hospital, where he has worked for 15 years. Hail from Ipoh, Perak, Felix moved to the UK in 1973 to train as a nurse. He worked in several hospitals, including Hospital University Southend, and retired 3 years ago. He then joined a nurse bank and continued working at the hospital's emergency department. In late March, he contracted the virus while working as a frontliner.
Happy that I survived. I did so well. But sad is that I miss all the nurses and doctors here because we become friends. And comprehensive, I don't know whether I can cook well at home. And one of my biggest problem, in fact, is this. I used to work part-time after I retired 5 days a week. Now I have to give up nursing. because I won't be able to do it for the risk of catching infection.
Do you regret coming back and then soon after infected by the virus?
Not at all. Not at all. I think everybody tried to do their bit for the people, for the country.
The data from Intensive Care and National Audit Research Centre, United Kingdom, shows that majority of COVID patients who were admitted to ICU either die or discharged to step-down wards within 2 weeks. As such, the hospital staff was so pleased when Felix survived the 47 days of ICU admission, including 29 days on a life support machine, to continue his recovery and rehabilitation journey in the respiratory ward. The excellent medical treatment, his internal strength, will to live, and a bit of luck helped him survive this disease. His immune system won the fight against COVID. We are surprised and happy with his speed of recovery.
In early April, Felix was put on a ventilator for 6 weeks as he fought against coronavirus. More than 100 people, many his former patients, have been posting well wishes on the local newspaper Facebook page. On the 19th of May, 150 hospital staff gave a round of applause as he was wheeled out of the ICU. This heartwarming video was also shared on social media and national news. Felix, who was still suffering to breathe normally, began another fight as he lost his mobility. He spent almost a month in the respiratory and rehab ward. On Monday, he was celebrated again as he overcome the mental and physical challenges.
And they sent me to the ward. It was very frightening because I lost my mobility. I can't use my leg or my hand because, you see, they say if somebody on a ventilator for just 2 weeks, they lost 40% of the muscle. And I spent over 6 weeks on the ventilator. So I lost quite a lot of weight. When I reached the respiratory unit, I need 2 people to help me to sit up. And I was so short of breath. Every 2 words I have to pause to take deep breath before I can continue. I was scared, I was depressed, I was frustrated. In fact, I said to myself, I can't cope with that. This is not the type I want. I was looking for a way to kill myself. But my consultant arranged for a psychiatrist to see me and change my attitude. Instead of looking at the negative, have to look at the positive. The fact the doctor gave me 15% of survivor when I was on the ventilator, I survived. That is positive.
Although he was glad and relieved that he recovered from COVID-19, Felix Koh was upset as he left Southend Hospital today because it meant leaving behind a career in nursing, which he is totally committed. But for now, he needs to recover at home, and the hospital has paid for his hard work, for his kindness, by looking after him so well. Halisa Hashim, TV3, London.
Still to come on Nightline, North Korea blows up liaison office as tensions rise with South Korea. Stay with us. You're still with us on Nightline. On to the foreign front. Now, New Zealand reported 2 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, ending a 3.5-week spell without any fresh infections. According to health authorities, both the new patients were recent arrivals from the United Kingdom, and both cases are related to the country's border. New Zealand's borders are open only to returning Kiwis and their families, besides some exceptions for businesses and compassionate grounds, with everyone undergoing 2 weeks mandatory quarantine. The South Pacific nation, which has recorded only 22 deaths among a population of 5 million, declared last week it had eliminated community transmission of the virus. As a result, domestic restrictions, including social distancing requirements and limits on public gatherings, were lifted, although strict border controls remain. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said on Monday that she had not declared the country virus-free because New Zealand may still have cases again in the future. Singapore's scientists will begin testing the COVID-19 vaccine on humans in August following promising initial response in mice. The vaccine is being evaluated by Singapore's Duke NUS Medical School, working on the relatively untested messenger RNA (mRNA) technology, which instructs human cells to make specific coronavirus proteins that produce an immune response. The mRNA approach has not yet been approved for any medicine. Therefore, researchers said longer studies were needed to ensure its safety. City-State Singapore reported 151 new COVID-19 cases as of noon on Tuesday, taking the national total to 40,969. Beijing city official warned on Tuesday the city's coronavirus situation is extremely severe. This as 27 new infections were reported in the Chinese capital from a cluster that has sparked a huge trace and test program. The COVID-19 resurgence, believed to have started at the city's sprawling Sinfadi wholesale food market, took the number of confirmed infections in Beijing over the past 5 days to 106, as authorities locked down almost 30 communities in the city and tested tens of thousands of people. Brazil's death toll from the COVID-19 pandemic rose to over 44,000 on Monday as the country continued easing restrictions on circulation despite the world's second worst outbreak after the United States. Health experts said the true impact is likely far greater than the data show because of a lack of widespread testing in Latin America's largest country. Brazil currently registered 627 new fatalities, down from an average of nearly 1,000 over the past week. The country also recorded about 20,000 new coronavirus cases on Monday, bringing the total to 892,000 infections. North Korea has blown up a joint liaison office with the South near the North's border town of Kaesong on Tuesday. The move comes just hours after the North renewed threats of military action at the Korean border. In a statement, South Korea warned it would respond strongly if the North continues to worsen the situation. The destruction of the office, it said, abandons the hopes of everyone who wanted the development of inter-Korean relations and peace settlements in the Korean peninsula. They also made it clear that all responsibility of this situation lies in the North. Tensions between North and South Korea have been escalating for weeks, prompted by de facto groups in the South sending propaganda across the border. The site was opened in 2018 to help the Koreas officially in a state of war to communicate. It had been empty since January due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Now let's take a look at the highlights in Malaysia's main newspapers for Wednesday, June 17th. Report on Tenaga Nasional Berhad to review its mechanisms in order to address and resolve the high electricity bill woes of consumers takes front pages of the New Straits Times and Berita Harian. Malaysia's best-selling Malay newspaper Harian Metro features a story of a father who raped his own daughter, who is currently in confinement. And the Malaysian Reserve highlights the potential candidates said to be frontrunners for PNB's top posts. Do get your copies today or subscribe to the e-paper. Qatar inaugurated Education City Stadium, the second newly built stadium for the 2022 World Cup. Due to the ongoing coronavirus restrictions in Qatar, a virtual media launch was held with socially distanced tribute to workers on the front line of the fight against coronavirus. Let's take a look at the 40,000 capacity stadium, a diamond in the desert, as we wrap up Nightline. I'm Preeta Manivanan. Thank you for watching.